Hey there creators, Niamh here. Today I'm going to do a binder cover for my son. A lot of his school papers are getting really unruly, and he's got just a simple binder, and he asked for a binder cover that zipped up and went around. Now, we thought about buying one because that would be the easy route. But one of my things that I do for my business on my Etsy shop, and you can check that out in the links down below, is that I make and sell binder covers for actually Book of Shadows things, and that's a pagan thing, a Book of Shadows, and I make these covers. Like, this is one of the ones that I have for sale. And it's a Edgar Allan Poe themed steampunk cover, and it's got a raven here, and it says Grimoire, and the edge here says Nevermore, and the back is about the same, and then it's got these ties here to tie it closed, and then on the inside I have pockets for papers here, and this is a little pouch that snaps down, and then I've got areas for candles like this. And then on the other side, I have a snapping spot for incense, a long thing here, and then a stretchy pouch here, and another pocket back here for some papers. And that goes over a 3-ring binder. There's pocket right here, so the binder goes in, closes it up, tie it off, and there we go. So to try to figure out how to adapt this for just a regular school binder, especially one where we had the zipper that's going to go around. Here we have ties to tie it closed, but my son wants to have his zippered shut so that no important papers will come out. So what we did here, so I did the same sort of thing, and we bought a red binder, a 3-ring, 3-inch binder. So on the outside here, what's going to be here is a canvas, and basically to come up with the size to cut out, I put the binder down, and I went about 1.5 inches around for seam allowance. Really, I didn't need to go this much. I probably should have just done 1 inch. So it was basically about 15 to 16 inches in height, and then width was, I believe, about 32 inches. Maybe a little less, actually, maybe 30 inches. Yeah, so the pouches, first thing I do is I cut out the first sleeve. It's got to be about, so the sleeves I do 8, 9, 10, 11, about 12 inches by the same height. So this was 16 inches, but you could do 15 to 16. I just went 16 because my ruler is 16 inches, so that was just easier to do it that way. Now, one thing I did on accident when I cut all this out, because I cut all this out while I was sick last week, and that's why I didn't have a video out at all last week. I was going to have this video out last week, actually, but I hadn't even started, and I got really sick, and I was sick most of the week. So I'm better now, thankfully. So one of the days that I was sick is when I actually cut all of this out. And let me tell you, you should not cut things out or measure when you're sick, because I definitely made mistakes. And I didn't realize it until after I started putting everything together. And as you can tell here, these are not the same width as the sleeve here. It's a good, I want to say, 1.5 inches off. And I realized what I did. The pouch that I have here, the pouch is a different width than the pocket. And when I went to go cut out these pockets here, instead of using the sleeve for a template, I accidentally grabbed the the pouch for the template. So it's like a good 1.5 inches off from where it should be. And hopefully that's not going to be a problem. Hopefully I've just, you know, the 1.5 inches here is too much and I don't actually need all that. But it's going to be very tight. And I put in a piece of paper to see how tight it would be. So here's an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And I'm just trying to see how, like, that's going to be super, super tight. I'm going to have no room to trim off. I'm going to be sewing right on the edge on these, and that's pretty unfortunate. I might add some fabric on here, like sew them right sides together and then flip them around so that there's just a little bit extra. But this is the problem with doing trying to do measurements and thinking when you're sick, you know, and I probably just should have waited to even do this, but that's okay, we'll figure it out. You know? All right, so yeah, so I will, this on the other pouch, so only about a little more than half of it was the actual pouch for some items, and then the other part was elastic bands for candles. Of course, this is a regular school binder, so we don't need candles, obviously. And I asked my son if he wanted like pencil slots, and he said no, so I just went ahead and figured what would be best is just a zipper pouch all the way across. So this will be fun for me to do because I rarely use zippers, so I'm not very adept at using them, so it's going to be a challenge and it's going to be an adventure, but we'll see how it goes. And so on the front cover here will be a big embroidery, and right here will also be an embroidery. So we'll do that, and I will cut in after this with going through and making some of the embroidery patterns. Alright, so on this side, I decided to do more pouches for papers, and this will be a stretchy pouch here for whatever, and instead of just one pocket, we've got 2 pockets. So we've got the Doctor Who fabric here, we've got the star fabric here, and I left a lot of space up here because there's actually going to be an embroidery up here as well. Alright, so now on the back, this is something that's very different than the other one. I am actually going to put a pouch here with the star fabric, and there will be a Velcro closing with this red fabric here, and I may have an embroidery on the back as well. We'll see. Alright, so the tricky part with this one is going to be the zipper all the way around, and that may also be why I added extra fabric here on the ends, so that I had a better I had more leeway for mistakes with the zipper. So I got a really long zipper, and this will be basically just enough. Maybe it's probably going to be a little bit too much, but we'll see how it goes. But that's fine. Too much is good. Not enough is bad. So, and then I cut, instead of, because we're doing a zipper here, so instead of a tie, I cut out some of the red fabric here to sew here along the edge. So there's going to be like a red border all the way around, and that's going to be attached to the zipper here. Alright, so let me cut in the footage of designing one of the embroideries, and we'll get that started. Okay, so I'm on the website Urban Threads, and I've shown this website before in a previous video, though the last time I showed it, it was their old website, and they did a big rebranding last year. Anyway, so I decided to choose the vintage Celestial pack, and I got the whole pack of all these designs, and I'm using the 2 that I circled there for this this design. And I'm also using the steampunk alphabet from the same website. I'm not using the capital letters that have all the gears and stuff in it because that doesn't really match with what we're doing. But the lowercase letters are ambiguous enough that I can use it on multiple projects, and it fit with this project. So now I'm using a program called Embroidery, and I'll leave a link in the description. And this is basically a machine embroidery design program where you can adjust designs. Like I just took that one and merged it there, and I'm trying out the different designs from that pack, but I end up going with that all over print 4 times, and just having the same all over print, and inversing it every other one, just to look like basically an all over pattern. So I did one where it said Dr. Seamus, and that's my son's alias that he uses online, and I did one with it blank, and that will go all over the front of the cover. And now that the design is on my embroidery machine, I'm plugging that in and getting it started. So since those are going right now, I'll talk about some other things. As I said at the beginning of the video, I was sick last week, and that's why I didn't have a video up. And all of this week, I have felt fabulous. I felt great. And this morning, I wake up to swollen lymph nodes and a major headache, and I could not believe it, because this is Friday that I'm recording this on, so it's same day that it goes up, and I had to do this, even though I'm not feeling well again today. I think my husband, he was sick all this week. And we thought he got what we had, myself and my kids, but I think he actually got something from someone at work and passed it on to me. I hate being sick. Anyway, so this design is the Whovian design, and that's going on the right side, the right panel up at the top. And yeah. I love that sound that the embroidery makes when it's done. Alright, so for the pouch here, what I'm doing is I'm folding each piece in half and marking the very center, and that's the front, the back, and the zipper itself. And now I'm placing the 2 front sides of the front and the back together and sewing down the line of it. There's about a 1/2-inch seam allowance so that there's enough room for the zipper to be sewn in. And there it is. It's a big rectangle squared in. And then at the opening here, where it was sewn together, to be able to see the zipper, you get a seam ripper like this, and you just seam rip that middle seam. And once you get all the way there, the zipper opens, and voila, there we go. Now we've got a pouch. So now I'm sewing together all the embellishments on the outside of the cover. And so that embroidery on the front turned out really great, didn't it? That all over pattern. Yeah, I was really happy with how that turned out. And so here is the middle piece where the binder part is, the 3-inch binder part. And yeah, so I'm sewing that there so I can sew that straight flat down. And then on the other side, on the back side here, I'm using a piece of paper to make a determination of where the where to sew down that fabric. And most of what I do is I make things up as I go along, so I don't use a lot of pre-planned patterns. So yeah, and sometimes that works out for me and sometimes not so much. And there was the embroidery that I actually put on the back pouch. It was just a Dalek from Doctor Who. Obviously this is a Doctor Who themed piece. And now I am placing where the Velcro will go on this back pouch. I'm using straight hook and loop. The loop is the fuzzy part, the soft side, and that's usually the side that you want shown. And now the hook, which is the scratchy side, I'm doing that vertically, whereas the loop I put horizontally, and that's so that I can get a wider range of enclosure, so there's not just one spot where it closes. So now that we have the front cover all complete and it looks great, now I'm going to turn it over and we see how wonky and crazy that looks. We don't want this shown on the binder, so I cut out a large rectangular piece of that silver velour, and only about 6 inches from the middle out is going to show, so I cut it much longer than that so that there's no chance of that the wrong side of the embroidery showing. All right, and now is the images, and this is going to be a two-parter, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I will get the second part out as soon as I can, but right now I'm going to take a lot of rest and drink a lot of fluids, and hopefully I feel a lot better. Thanks for watching, guys. Later, creators. Bye.